Hello, fellow investors. My name is Gaming Benito. Welcome to the Audit Report. The Audit Report serves as a report for potential investors who want to make an informed decision on investing their time and money into a game. In this video, the game that is being audited is Pokemon Sword and Shield. Dear Game Freak, today we will discuss your latest product, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Pokemon Sword and Shield sets trainers on a new adventure across the Galar region, where there are 94 new Pokemon to catch and train. The last engagement I had with the company was Pokemon Sun and Moon. Pokemon Sun and Moon was a good Pokemon game, but the Pokemon were not interesting enough to keep my attention compared to the other Pokemon games like Diamond and Pearl, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Emerald, Ruby, and many more. The anticipation of Pokemon Sword and Shield is high because this is the first Pokemon game to be introduced on the Switch that is not a spin-off. Cough, cough, Pokemon, let's go. I'm expecting to have similar feelings I had towards Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness that was on the GameCube in 2006. With that being said, let's continue on to the report. I identified 3 major risks associated with Pokemon Sword and Shield. The first risk is the controversy of not having all the previous generation Pokemon in the National Pokédex. This is considered a risk because many fans were anticipating catching and training all of their favorite Pokemon. Leads to the second risk, technological limitation that comes with creating a game on the Switch. Compared to the other consoles like the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, the Switch does not have a strong enough CPU nor GPU to handle the large files to process, along with the storage limitations of using a SD card. This limits the game developer as they have to be mindful of what assets they can put into the game and what ways they can cut back to make sure the game runs smoothly on the Switch. For example, the minimum download and install size for Red Dead Redemption 2 is 150 gigabytes. This shows that games require large download storages. This affects graphics, loading time, download wait time, and content, and this has an impact on Game Freak's product. The last risk to be aware of is brand awareness. Yes, branding could serve as a risk for a company. The reason for this is because having a strong brand name could set high expectations for the company, where some fans will have nostalgia and use that as a guideline to what to expect from the company. While this is fair expectation from the fans, this translates to the developers having more pressure to exceed expectations. Pokemon Sword and Shield is exactly what you expect from a Pokemon game. You catch, train, and battle Pokemon through the journey of becoming a Pokemon Master. You can expect the story to be the same from all the other Pokemon, except there is no real villain. Usually there is a Team Rocket type antagonist that have malicious plans to rule the region. It is a nice change of pace, except there are Yell fans that you encounter that are blocking your progression from time to time. Team Yell does not play a huge role in the game other than being an invisible wall that keeps the player from exploring the world. The big change that impacted the gameplay is the wild area. The wild area is a designated area where players can visibly see wild Pokemon roam the area. Players can choose which Pokemon they want to engage in battle with. This is a nice change of pace because this saves players time, as in the previous versions, players would walk into the grass, randomly be attacked by Pokemon regardless if they want to fight them or not. This is a cool revamp of the game. It did feel like it wasn't diversified enough because the different terrains weren't fast. The weather was quite depressing because I would only occasionally see rain, snow, and sometimes sandstorms based on the terrain. This would vary among players. The change of terrain did affect the Pokemon players would see in the wild area. This helped break the cycle of seeing the same Pokemon in the same spot. The feature is the Dynamax. The Dynamax is essentially the ability to make your Pokemon 10 times bigger than their original size, which would increase their health size and give them special types moves that gave a cinematic feel on the screen. There are only certain areas where you can battle and catch the Dynamax Pokemon, which were dens and gym leader battles. This was a refreshing change of pace of battling Pokemon, but after a while it fell short. The reason for this was because players would have seen all the Dynamax moves before finishing the game, which felt lazy as far as adding new animations to the game. Also, through my playthrough, I found it more effective to fight the Dynamax Pokemon with regular sized Pokemon, because the moves were more effective than using the basic Dynamax moves due to the lack of variety and strategy within those moves. Dynamax felt like a gimmick, as it was more simpler than the regular Pokemon battle. Finally, the star of the game, the Pokemon. The Pokemon in the Galar region were good in my opinion. I found it to be difficult on which 6 starting Pokemon I should keep with my main party. While this game does not have all the Pokemon that ever existed, Game Freak did a pretty good job of reworking some of the Pokemon from the previous versions. With that being said, I think they could have made a better selection of Pokemon to have included in the game. I understand why they received the backlash they got from the fans for not including all the Pokemon in the game. I actually have a theory on why they did not include all the Pokemon in the game, which I will discuss in the opinions segment of the video. Overall, Pokemon were decent, but you can feel after years of creating new Pokemon, they ran out of ideas. So going back to that theory I had, Pokemon Sword and Shield, based on what I played, it seems like it's meant to be a MMO game. It was meant to be an always online game, and how I got there was kind of weird. So the reason why I think this game was supposed to be an always online game is based on the Dynamax dens. If you ever go into the den, the first option they give you is to switch your Pokemon, play with CPU, or find friends to battle with. And so, based on that, looking at it, and based on the wild area, it seems like Game Freak at first had the idea of making this an always online game, and making it a kind of like an MMORPG game where trainers could walk around with other trainers, and they're all in the wild area, and they could catch and train Pokemon together all simultaneously. But I feel like Nintendo told Game Freak to hold back and stick to the bread and butter because, if it works, then don't fix it. I think that's how the saying go. But but yeah, so it just felt kind of tacked on, if that makes sense. Like, even when you go into the Dynamax dens and you have these battles were kind of boring. Like, yeah, they had Cinemax moves which were like cool, but there were only like probably a couple moves. It was like 1 or 2 moves per type of move. So like in total, based on the types, there was probably like 30 moves, and they all were just like, they look grand, but when you're fighting other Dynamax Pokemon, it didn't really have such a huge effect. And another thing I didn't like about Dynamax Pokemon is like you didn't know what level they were. So I was towards the end of the game, and I went to a den, and there was a Dreadnought, and like there was a Dynamax form of the Dreadnought, and my Pokemon at the time was like level 60, level 62, level 63, and I really had strong difficulties like killing that Pokemon. Like, I would Dynamax my Pokemon, the moves didn't do anything, but when I left my Pokemon little, the moves had some effect, but I wasn't able to kill the Dreadnought, and I didn't know what level that Dreadnought was, so it's kind of hard to like kind of gauge what Pokemon I should use or what level I need to be before I fight this Dreadnought. And I'm going to be completely honest, the map wasn't my favorite map. I think the map kind of sucked if you think about it. Like, if you compare all the other maps in the Pokemon games, the maps were like kind of like tall and wide, but this map seems kind of like narrow and tall. And the reason I say this is because like usually you could see like the change of environments in the different Pokemons. The journeys were kind of different. Like, you were kind of seeing different things and different trainers. But in this one, you didn't really see much. Like, yeah, there were like um there was one ice area place. There's one by the sea, but they're just boats, so you can't really go in the water. The next was like a big town for the I guess you would call it champion battle, but they changed the system and made it kind of like a tournament. And so, long story short, I noticed that the map wasn't that good, and you can even tell like the amount of train station that they have, which they kind of served as like fast travel, but I think they were kind of pointless in the game because why use that when they give you like a flying taxi to use in the beginning of the game, so you get to jump between places you've already been. So the trains take up a lot of space in the map, and I think the reason for that, going back to my theory, is that it was meant to be an always online game. So the train system was supposed to serve as like, hey, you could jump between these three worlds in the Pokemon, or these three areas in Pokemon, if it was an online thing. And so I guess when they scrapped it, they just kept the trains there and make them like kind of just, they're just there to transport you, but I only use the train for like progressing the story, but other than that, I never used the train system. And I thought it was just honestly like a waste of space and map design. And the last gripe I have with this game is I think the NPCs in the games aren't as great as the last ones. And I'm not talking about for as term as like personality and stuff, but a lot of the NPC was just there to take up space. Like back in the previous games, I remember talking to like each town you would go to, like there were like at least probably 3 to 4 NPCs that had like, oh, I'll trade you this Pokemon for that Pokemon, or here I do this, I can give you this, or hey, if you can get me this, I'll give you that. And there were very few in here, which kind of felt like they kind of cookie cutted the game, and even my playing time was short. Like I was able to beat the game in like less than 20 hours, which I'm usually not used to. And maybe because like in this game they don't have like the champion four or the final four gym leaders you fight. And so I don't know, I just felt like I flew by the game pretty fast and I didn't really get to enjoy everything. Other than that, it's a pretty good Pokemon game. I enjoy it. It was pretty good. I enjoyed the Pokemon. I didn't really like the Dynamax, but I enjoyed the gym leaders. I like the gym missions because they were interesting and like they changed up. I remember one was kind of like a pinball machine where you had like, it was kind of like a maze, and like basically you had to navigate through it to get to the gym leader, which was cool. So that I enjoy, but I just I can honestly say that Game Freak played this one safe. I wish they would have tried something more new instead of the Dynamax. Like, yeah, the Dynamax was cool, but once again, it felt tacked on. So I felt Game Freak wanted to make a different Pokemon game, kind of like um, Pokemon Go on the phone, or like similar to that where it's like online and you see different Pokemons. But I think Nintendo told them to like, hey, keep it traditional. We need to keep the sales up. We don't need no controversy, even though they end up making controversy by not adding all the Pokemon to the Pokédex, and then also saying that they're working on new animations, and then some of the people that dig into like the game archive realize that they haven't been providing new animations. They kind of take most of their assets from the 3D games and kind of improved on that. And so then they create a whole Twitter hashtag Game Freak lied, which kind of really, I think, hurt their marketing as far. But other than that, I don't know if I could recommend this game. And I can't recommend it for the price. Only because I felt like Game Freak kind of took out some things, and I pray they're not trying to throw like a DLC later on in the future, and that's why they took out some of the Pokemon. That's why you don't see any like new animations. That's why the NPC kind of, they're just there to be there, and so I hope that's not happening. But yeah, that's my final take on Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, let me know. Subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think about this game. I've seen some reviews out, and they're all pretty standard. I remember Jim Sterling talking about the how they've been too traditional, like as far as like the game text, and how they couldn't include like voice acting and stuff. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys think of this game. Thank you for watching the video. I hope to see you on my next video. Peace. Let me know in the comment section.